Hello, my name is Rhiannon King. I'm the Archdeacon of Ipswich, and I'm delighted today to be in conversation with Sarah Maughan. So for about 5 minutes, I'm going to ask you some questions, Sarah. So can you begin by telling us a bit about yourself and your background, please?
So I'm Sarah Maughan and I'm 50 years old. I'm married to Leon and I have 3 children who are getting older now, and I'm a grandma to Freya. So I live in Doncaster, South Yorkshire, in the north of England, in an ex-mining village. I haven't always gone to church, but I did go to a Church of England primary school when I was a little girl, which left me with fond memories, actually. And I didn't go to church for many, many years, from teenager onwards, really, other than christenings, weddings, funerals, that sort of thing. I don't ever recall going to church for any other function other than those 3 things. I'd heard of Jesus at school, particularly because when Jesus was born, I got presents. So I remember that very well.
Good bit, yes.
But I don't think that I had much faith and certainly didn't understand the love of God at all. And even going into my adult years, I didn't have any bad experiences of church as a little girl, as in feel unwelcome or anything bother me with the singing. But I remember joining a choir at church because I loved singing, and I got 50p every time I sang at a wedding. And that meant that I could go to the local shop and get some sherbet pips. So that kept me going for a little while. I still live and work in an ex-mining village. So I haven't moved away from the north of England. I love it here, and I shout out for it constantly. I think it's an amazing, wonderful place.
That's fantastic. So we can see with your colour, we can see obviously you're ordained now.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us a bit about the journey from, what you just described to where you are now?
Yeah. I wanted to get married in church, and I was pretty adamant about that. And all of my children were baptised as babies. But there was no real depth to that. I just wanted to. I wanted the idea of that. I never really prayed and didn't have any notion of what it was like to be a Christian. I went to church, to a place where they were Christians for a particular purpose, but I never thought of myself as one, mainly because I didn't think I was good enough. So about 12 years ago, I became seriously ill and was rushed into hospital. And the doctor told me that I may not survive. I was critical, and I remember being really frightened. My husband had gone home and I was on my own. And in that kind of space and situation, all sorts of things flashed through your mind. But one thing was, who would look after my children like I do? And what about my lovely husband? How would he cope? But then after that, my biggest concern, and this might sound very strange and selfish to some people, but it was, well, what happens? Where do I go? Is there such thing as heaven that I've heard of? And if there is, well, I'm probably not going to get a place in there because I haven't done anything to deserve that. And I remember feeling really frightened of that darkness, that complete abyss that I knew nothing about. And I prayed. When I say prayed, I didn't really know how to pray, and I didn't know how to pray for myself. I didn't even know that you could. So I kind of had a little conversation with God and said, if you are there and if you are real, can I survive? And I'll find out all about you. I'll make that my mission. And I survived.
Thank you. So If you were giving any advice to Christians who particularly want to reach out to people who are not religious and wouldn't call themselves religious, what would your top tip be, or top tips?
I really think it's important to just be yourself. And whenever I sit with people and go out and desperately love going and talking to people, I wouldn't go up to them and start talking to them about my faith. I would go up to them and want to know about them.
Yeah.
And I find that fascinating and important. I want to know about who they are and what's in their life. So I just listen really and give people time to talk, and talking about God then becomes very, very natural in that conversation. I'm not trying to convert anybody with a conversation. It's more of to help them to understand how much they're loved, because that was the biggest thing for me, understanding that as plain and simple as I am, this amazing, great God loves me, which still blows me away. So it's listening and being among people. I don't wait for people to come to church to talk to them. I want to go out and be where they are.
Sarah, thank you so much for your time. It's lovely listening to your story. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.